Good morning, Facebook and YouTube and any other venues that this will be seen on. Good morning. I'm trying to make this as short as possible. May not be possible, but I'll try. I came to Chicago on vacation, potentially to see some people that, really I didn't want to miss. Telling I love you before we passed. I mean, because lately it seems like when I want to see somebody and that they're important in my life, that they end up dead before I can get back to them, and it was that began to bother me. Not to mention that a lot of you don't probably realize it or know it. There's a great amount of pressure that's applied to my life. Why the Creator chose me, I have no idea, because myself, I wouldn't have chose me. But anyhow, it's not a complaint. It's just a reality. If I shared with most people the structure or the day-to-day of my life, most people that know me already say, hey, you do too much, you do too much, you do too much, and they only see a part of it. But I care for people. I care for people. People are my life, people are my heart, people are the reason why I keep on pushing. Because I had a chance, just like anybody else, to give up and just get into my life, but I haven't. I've chosen to try to serve and try to help those in need. But anyway, I came to Chicago, and I'm on vacation right now, and man, this has really been a hard time, because along with the day-to-day pressures of everyday life, and then the ministry stuff, there's some political and activist stuff that I sometimes get involved with. And lately, it's been around surrounding murders of the police and people of color community. And I know I'll never be able to fully explain this to some, but as a matter of fact, I was in the middle of the riot yesterday on Madison Street in Chicago. And it brought back memories, because guess what? As a child, I was in the middle. I had went up to Madison Street when Dr. King was murdered, and I saw that. I was right in the middle of it as people moved, and the military moved, and the police moved, and all of that. I saw all of that, and it brought back those memories. But yesterday was much worse, because I saw people. And though I don't condone it, now get this straight, I don't condone the looting, but I do understand it. I saw people who had years and years and years and years of anger built up, and they didn't care about police or any other forces that was out there. They had an objective, and they carried that out. And this situation that's broken out across the country has 3 different levels in it. There are the agitators, there are the opportunists, and then there are the peaceful. And a lot of people are saying, hey, why can't you have peaceful protests? Why can't you have peaceful protests? What is all the violence and the looting about? We want to attribute the part that comes from the agitators or the police officers, because what they're not reporting right now is that a lot of police officers have been involved in this looting and stuff. They have one that was about to take a purse, I think it was from Tiffany's downtown, and realized he was on camera and dropped it. But anyway, you have the agitators, the infiltrators, and their objective is to make the movement look worse than I'll just put it this way. They want to put a negative viewpoint from those people who don't understand. They want to give you a negative viewpoint on the movement. And, the opportunists, people that they call an opportunists, that can be 50-50. Some people see it, as a lick. Yeah, some people are coming down as a lick. Well, I'll get it to 50% of them. But what's not being uncovered is that the other 50% may be coming down there because they are economically challenged. This wasn't a choice of theirs. This is how America has been set up in its capitalistic system to keep the poor poor. They're angry, right? I understand it. I don't condone it. But then you got the peaceful protesters. And people say, well, why can't they be peaceful? Well, I can understand, and sometimes I put my fist up to those brothers that's violent in this movement, because let's be for real. Now, you said, why can't we be peaceful? Martin Luther King marched peacefully. He marched peacefully. You murdered him. You murdered him for peacefully walking. If Martin Luther King had the mentality to do what is being done right now, the attention would have been gotten quicker. The non-peaceful part of this movement is what's got America talking. And the truth is that the sad part about it is that they are not talking about the issue, right? The issue is that we have a police department across the country that's corrupt, abusive, and actually law-free. They're a lawless bunch of guys. And they've been authorized and endorsed by a president who tells them that it's okay. The orange punk. This is going to be one of the hardest chapters for America to get over in the history of America. I really want to reiterate, this is going to be one of the hardest eras for us to move past. And part of the reason is, you can say what you want, but I applaud them. There's a lot of young white kids that are out there, not just kids, it's adults too, that say, hey, I'm tired of losing my friends. I'm tired of losing my friends. I'm tired of losing a neighbor. I'm tired of my neighbors being subjected to unjust treatments. And they marching right alongside those people. Look at those crowds. Those crowds are diverse. And some of them are more white than black. They tired. People are tired. Our police departments have went off the rails. People have been saying it for the longest. Like I continue to say in all my videos, NWA back in the 90s made a song, F the Police. Why would kids get together and make that if the police wasn't doing something, right? But none of us chose to investigate that. We just had a problem with the fact that they cussed in the song. They was brought to the point that they had to cuss in order to get your attention. But then, you know what? Because it was peaceful because that was a peaceful protest when they made the song F the Police. It was a peaceful protest. Guess what happened? You forgot about it. You forgot about it, and it went away. Well, we're on a generation that's saying that this ain't going away. This ain't going away. We've been in pain a long time, and this ain't going away. And I can find something to be thankful for in the midst of all this, and every one of you out there should be thankful for it. Because this could have went another way. What if they brought guns and they said, no, it ain't the police, it's everybody white? A lot of innocent people on both sides would be dead right now. And we would be in a civil war. But we live in an era where people are more woke now than ever. We went through schools that teach us false history. We have a Bible that they tell us about our Creator that's been manipulated by man. Has passages in it like in the book of Exodus, I forget where it's at, where it says it's okay for a master to beat a slave as long as he don't kill him. That ain't God. That's some man that wrote that in there. That's that control mechanism. Now, there are parts of the Bible that are totally true that they did not mess with. And those are the parts that people need to be looking at. Those parts that are of God, but it requires study. It requires some self-sacrifice. Just as being woke requires self-sacrifice. Because we have to go back and unlearn all of the things that America has taught us, because these things have been wrong. People are finding out every day that the history that we've been given is not true. It's his story. We got to find a way to get past this. For the last 15 years in Indy, I've been talking about this situation. I've been seeing this situation. I shared with a friend of mine, Gary Brinkatter, one day, and I think I said this on one other video, about how one of the youngsters that I mentored and had in a program, he let me know, because I used to do this thing called God Time, right? And he informed me, he said, man, we're not hearing nothing that you say about this Bible thing. The only reason why we listen to you is because we know that you care. We know that you care. You know how they knew I cared? Because when I first started the program, I didn't let anybody into that gymnasium that didn't give me a hug. I wanted them to know I loved them. I was making a sacrifice. Some of them had no idea and won't know until I just say this now. At some points, I was going through a divorce during that time, and I was at one of the most lowest parts of my life, economically, financially, and I was about to lose my house and everything else, and I still sacrificed to make sure that those hot dogs and hamburgers that I fed to the community kids still were there when they came to get them. I love them, and I still do. It's just harder to get to the present generation, because the present generation lives in so much pain. And I've been talking to administrations, hey, look, help me. I don't have the funding to do some of the things that I want to do. Help me help them. Because you know what? I walk through communities and I stop and I talk to people. I mess with kids all the time. Hey, that's my thing. I mess with kids all the time. I go up to the park sometime. I ain't got no business in the park. Look, I go up to the park and I'm messing with kids all the time, right? And one thing I can identify in all of them is that there's a degree of pain that they living with, and they trying to make do. And then when it comes out, it's uncontrollable. And when I talked about them bringing guns to these protests or whatever, don't think they don't have them, because the numbers suggest that we have more murders now than ever in the history of the United States. They got guns. They could have brought guns. I'm thankful that, you know what, they took a few gym shoes and they went on about their business, some liquor and some clothes, and gone on about your business. If that'll help you calm down for a few minutes, we can rebuild. I'm in construction. We can rebuild everything that's been burned, torn down, stolen, everything. Look, it gives us an opportunity. I'm not saying that anybody wants to hear this, but it gives us the opportunity to make some of those damn gym shoes right here in America now and sell them to our kids. Make them affordable. Let's do some of that. Let's redirect what has happened and find some positive in it. But we got to start trying to put out some of these fires. And I've been saying it for years, talking to the police department and this and that. Now I no longer want to work with the police department, because I had 2 police officers, and there's probably 4 that I'll name in Indianapolis. I'll name 4. Brian Mahone. He's the head of Homeland Security, or he works in Homeland Security now. I don't know if he's the head, but I know he always had a leadership position. But Brian Mahone, was one of the best officers at recognizing that we needed to do some things and we needed to have some preventative maintenance. Chief Scott Hassler realized and worked with the community hard. Captain Rice, I don't know if he's even still on the police force. Captain Rice was a good dude. Larry Atkins, you know what? I took some kids that had never been bowling before from in that 42nd and Post Street area. You know what? Larry came on his day off, and I think it was actually, he's a church guy. He took off of church, and he's a devout church guy, and he took off from church to come and bowl with the kids and stuff so they can see that, you know what, some of us really care about you. I don't want to give a blanket indictment that every police officer is bad. I don't want to give that blanket indictment to the police department. Every one of them ain't bad. But the truth is, we got some bad ones in there. I'm a witness. I'm free right now on the streets partly because of Tom Johnson, who was murdered recently in Oak Park, Illinois, right? They haven't finished the investigation, but he was murdered, probably because of the way that he operated, because Tom Johnson was always on the end of the underdog, fighting for the indigenous people, fighting for blacks or whites who were actually served unjustly. My freedom hinges on his desire to see that when wrong is done, it's righted. Because see, I was sitting up in jail on some trumped up stuff where 2 Chicago police, okay, put some heroin on me that I've never seen to this day. And the state was offering me 11 years. The initial offer was going to be 44 years. They wanted to charge me as a habitual criminal. And they offered me 11 years. And a lot of guys take that because they don't see a win. But I said, I'm going to fight this. And by the grace of the Creator, things were righted, sort of. Okay, they were righted, sort of. Okay, but the truth is that these kind of things happen all the time to black men in America. Why is it so hard to understand that we have a police system that's been corrupt for all these years? And a lot of people are standing back and like, I don't see a problem with the police. That's because it don't affect you. We got to come together. I'm telling you, we got to come together and put together some things that'll bring humanity back into balance. Because there's no balance. There's no balance when you build more penitentiaries than you do schools, when you have in-school suspensions that's really designed to get rid of kids who you have a problem with. Everything that we do, we want to drug somebody or something and give them a drug to make something, a situation lay dormant until it grows up and then it's out of control. We have doctors that took a pledge to try to heal and save people's lives, whose real oath consists of how much drugs can I sell, or how much drugs can I push onto a person. I was in Kroger's one day recently, standing behind this old white lady, and she had about 12, 16 prescriptions. How could you justly, in your right heart, prescribe 12 pills to anybody? I wouldn't even do that to a horse. It's got to be a better way. It's got to be a natural something. God made this world in beautiful order. We've taken it out of control. We got to do something, and it's up to us. God's hand is where it's always been. Everything is still in place by His design. Think about it. I'm done. Talk to you.